I give you an example. X is an element of -3 to 7, like this. If I were asked to change this to set notation and then perhaps graph it, it would look like this. X is between -3 and 7. That's a good start for this. X is between the two. Now, X is going to be bigger. It's greater than or equal to the -3. How do I know that it's greater than or equal to? Yeah, right, the inclusion, the bracket. So that gives me the filled in circle, right? And so does the symbol. But it's not quite 7, so it's less than 7. So these are equivalent statements. They're just written differently. Honestly, I like that one best. But most students disagree with me and like the interval notation. So if I were to graph this, it would look like this. Maybe somewhere over here is a -3, and over here somewhere is a 7, and a 0 would be somewhere in between those two, maybe something like about there. And you can put the marks in if you want, but I don't know that it's totally necessary. So at -3, I have a filled in dot. That's right. And an open dot at 7, and X is any value in between these. Okay? So let me give one for you to try. What if I said 5 is less than X is less than or equal to 9? Could you write the interval notation and graph it? Give that a try. You guys better hurry. Jonathan's going to give you the answer here in just a minute. All right, Jonathan, tell us what you got.
So, since it's not equal to 5, it is just a less than, it's not going to be 9.
Good. So what should I start with here?
X of element.
Yep.
Not included 5, and included 9.
You got it.
And then
That's it.
it's anywhere between 5 and 9. And 9, of course, is a closed dot.
Yeah, so 5 is going to be on the less than side, and 9 is going to be somewhere over here. There's not that many points in between. A way you might see this graphed, and it's totally okay to do it either way. I know some teachers teach it like this, where they put the line and the dots above. I usually go right on the line, but the nice thing about this is it's really clear. In case, say, maybe a student or somebody doesn't, maybe if you don't use a different color or you don't shade it in very well, it becomes really obvious what the answer is. So you can put it above the line. It doesn't have to be on the line. Either way works. Okay, here's another one. to think there,
this is
Mr.
definitely less than 5.
Right. When you do this, the x will always be greater than the number to the left and less than the number to the right. It will always, these will always face the same direction. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good observation. How about somebody other than Jonathan? Allison. Oh, you have a question? Yeah, what's the question? Yes. All right, Jonathan, help us out here.
Okay, so 0 is less than x, and x is less than 4.
That's correct.
So that number is anywhere between is 0 to 4, and they're both open dots. They're both non-zero.
They would be open dots, and I would shade between them, right? Yeah. X is any value between them. So what that means is if I plugged, say, 2 in for x, it's going to make it a true statement. So 0 is less than 2, which is less than 4, right? And any number I choose to put in here between these would make this a true statement. That's what the interval says. Yes?
So since I thought it would be closed dots because there's parentheses and not brackets.
No, the bracket is the closed dot. The bracket
It's because you open dotted 9 earlier.
Oh, I did. I did that one backwards, didn't I?
Yeah.
Jonathan, where were you when I was drawing that wrong? You're supposed to help me out here, make sure I don't make any mistakes. This is wrong. So I apologize for the confusion. This should be open dot at 5, closed dot at 9. Now, if I was one of those teachers that said, yeah, I meant to do that, then you'd all go, yeah, that's baloney, right? And I'd lose credibility. No, that was my mistake. I'll admit that. That's my mistake. Yeah, open dot for the parenthesis, closed dot for the bracket. Yeah. Okay, there's one other thing that's going to be on this test that I wasn't really able to put on the review. Well, a couple things, but one of them we probably won't get to. So there's going to be a problem kind of like that one that we looked at for that task, where it was talking about the cafeteria and how many kids were coming through the cafeteria. So I told you that there's going to be a problem based on the idea of, say, a YouTuber earning money. And I think didn't I mention that the YouTuber that's making the most money right now is a 7-year-old kid? Little punk. I think we should go beat him up and take his money. Okay. The idea is profit. How do we get profit? Does anybody remember?
Yeah. Like the money that goes, like how do we get it or what is it?
Yeah, well, what is it? Yeah, it's the money that goes in your pocket. That's a good way of saying it. So how do you get that to that amount? Do you remember?
Like, take out the
You're right. Take out the expenses. Yeah, expenses. So, Mike? Yeah. So it's going to be your earnings, what you earn, the total of what you earn, minus your expenses. And that's profit. So I think I mentioned that when I was a kid I threw newspapers and I had to like knock on the doors at the end of every month and go, hey, you owe me $4. Then it went to $4.50 and everybody said, what? It's $4.50. Like, I don't make the prices. It's just, you know. So basically how it worked for me is I actually bought the newspapers. I bought the newspapers. I had to pay for everything. I even had to pay for the rubber bands when I needed rubber bands. It was a business. So I bought the newspapers, and then I would go collect money, and part of that money had to go towards the money that I spent to buy the newspapers. And then whatever was left over, that was mine to keep. And it was about, I think it was about $2 per customer that I could keep. And I had about 60 customers, so I was able to make about 100, 120 bucks a month. It bought me a lot of candy bars when it probably shouldn't have. I don't do as well as the $7 million, or no, $22 million 7-year-old, but I did okay. To be honest, I